Roughly 2 years ago, when Cadillac finally took the wraps off of the fully redesigned 5th generation Escalade, it really put the industry on notice because the company pulled out all the stops in order to make this vehicle stand out among its main chief rival from Lincoln, the all-new Lincoln Navigator. Now, I've already had a chance to drive extensively the revised Navigator and the all-new Jeep Grand Wagoneer, the Escalade's main rivals, and as you can see this week, Cadillac is looking to remind you guys and myself just how good the Escalade is because the company has sent me over this mid-trim option known as the Premium Luxury, painted in this really nice shade of mahogany metallic. If you look at the sales figures, Cadillac moved nearly 41,000 units in 2021 here in America, making this the best-selling 3-row luxury SUV that can also tow heavy loads, especially if you guys are looking to carry 8 people and tow nearly 8,000 pounds. So if you guys have been in the market for a vehicle like this, the big question I want answered, does the 2023 Escalade still represent the best in the segment? Stay tuned to find out. Now, because the Escalade was fully redesigned for 2021, there are no exterior changes to the design for 2023, but let me go ahead and first pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this particular Escalade. Now, unlike its main rivals, Cadillac continues to offer a choice of 3 different engines. In fact, the 3rd engine was a new option for 2023. I've shown you guys several reviews of the Escalade V, which has the insane supercharged V8. However, most Escalades are going to be sold with this engine. This is essentially the same 6.2-liter small block pushrod V8 equipped with direct injection and variable cylinder management, so it can run on 4 cylinders to save fuel, as other GM products, and it's kind of a variation of the 6.2 that's in the V minus the supercharger, and of course different tuning and software. This engine continues to make 420 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers put it in line in terms of its competition from the Navigator and of course the Grand Wagoneer, although the Escalade is now the least powerful entry in the segment, although it still has a fairly good amount of torque. It all goes out through a 10-speed automatic transmission, and you could take your pick between either rear-wheel drive or full-time 4-wheel drive like my Tester has. It's about a $3,000 option to get 4-wheel drive. Fuel economy is rated at 14 in the city and 19 on the highway. Premium gas is recommended. This has about a 25-gallon gas tank, so you're looking at around 350 to 450 miles on a full tank, but it's going to be expensive, of course, if you guys feed it the good stuff, which is premium fuel. Cadillac doesn't quote a 0 to 60 performance, but we've got our equipment. I believe 2 years ago we got 6.5 seconds. We'll see what we can get this time with this particular model. It has a top speed of around 120 miles an hour, and this car is rated to tow around 8,000 pounds. I think max is around 8,200. This one here maxes out at 8,000 pounds, and the Escalade is still a big SUV. As this one sits, it weighs in at just a tick over 6,000 pounds. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and show you guys this particular one in more detail. You can see this is the Premium Luxury, which is kind of the mid-trim. It's one step above just the luxury model, and as you can see, unlike the Sport Platinum that I showed you or the V, it has a different styling treatment in the front fascia. Instead of the blacked out accents, you have some satin chrome along the grille. You have the big Cadillac logo, of course, with their wreathless crest. This is a new logo that they introduced back in 2015. You have full LED headlights with LED low and high beams, LED daytime running lights, and LED turn signals. You can see it's got that vertical LED light bar that Cadillac first started on their art and science design theme a few years ago. Actually, it's probably been over a decade ago. But overall, in this mahogany metallic, which is kind of like a sparkly brown, it's not my particular cup of tea, but I have to admit, it looks good in the sunlight and it really works on the body lines of the Escalade. The company continues to offer this in 2 different sizes, the regular Escalade and the 14-inch longer Escalade ESV. This is the shorter wheelbase model, which means it's around 212 inches long overall. It has a 121-inch long wheelbase. So again, this is a big vehicle, but if you want it to go bigger, you can still buy the ESV, which is around 227 inches long. Now you can see this Premium Luxury trim comes with these polished 22-inch multi-spoke wheels, riding on 2 75/50 R22-inch Bridgestone Alenza tires. These are actually the same aspect ratio and tires and rim size as the high-performance V. The difference is the V has bigger brakes, and on this model you also have an adjustable air suspension that you get with the Touring package, along with my Tester also having a power deploying running board for an extra $1,700. The mirrors you can see have integrated turn signals. There's a full 360 camera around the vehicle. And then you can see here there are these aerodynamic roof rails, no crossbars, and you do have a panoramic glass roof which goes into the second row but not the third row. But overall you can see the Escalade shape is just a big traditional box. It's going to again be functional. It's instantly recognizable as an Escalade. I actually really like the polished wheels with the chrome around the belt line. It kind of, again, goes with the more luxury trim. That's why they call this the premium luxury. Looking at the rear, you can see the well-known vertical stacked LED taillights are very present back here. It's instantly recognizable as an Escalade. You can see LED turn signals, LED brake lights. The exhaust system you can see is integrated into the rear bumper, where you have a rectangular dual exhaust. And then this 600 badge here, I still don't like this. This is showing the torque in Newton meters, so it makes 600 Newton meters of torque. If you have the diesel version, it'll say 600D. I think that number is super confusing. You can get the badges to be blacked out if you prefer. The tow hitch will be behind that little cover which comes off. And then when you want to access the cargo area, you basically just have to push the Cadillac logo. This also has a hands-free system for the power tailgate when you want to open and close it if you have stuff that you're carrying. And then the short wheelbase model you can see offers just under 26 cubic feet of storage space with the third row seat up. If you look underneath here, there is a underfloor storage. And then if you want to fold down the third row, you basically just push this button here and that will fold the third row down, which right now the second row seat is kind of in the way, so it's not going to fold down. But when you fold down the third row seat, Cadillac says it expands the cargo to around 70 cubic feet of space. And if you fold down everything, the second and the third row, you're going to get a maximum of 121 cubic feet of space, which used to be a number reserved for minivans. And keep in mind, if you go for the 14-inch longer ESV, you're going to get up to 144 cubic feet of space, which is right up there with the Navigator L and the Jeep Grand Wagoneer L. So the exterior of the 2023 Escalade hasn't changed, but let's go ahead and talk about the interior of this premium luxury trim. You can see here is the key fob for the vehicle. This is basically the current key fob that you get on a lot of GM products. It just has a Cadillac logo here. Of course, it has remote start. You can also open up the tailgate from here and the rear hatch glass, along with locking and unlocking the vehicle. As you approach the door handle, you can see these actually light up at night. And the door handle itself doesn't actually physically move. There's a little pressure pad on the back of this. Just push that pressure pad and that will unlock the door for you. Now, my tester with the mahogany metallic has a very nice interior color combination. It's basically a parchment beige with a two-tone black. This is not the semi-aniline leather that you get on the platinum grades, but you can see with the contrasting black piping and stitching, these seats are heated and ventilated, and they adjust in like 16 different ways, along with two-person memory for the driver's side. It is a very comfortable seat, and the leather itself feels nice. My tester also has the upgraded for $4,300 AKG 36-speaker stereo system, which sounds incredible. I'm not sure if it's worth the extra $4,300. You get a standard 19-speaker system if you guys don't go for the bigger 36-inch screen or stereo system. But you can see the door panel has really nice leather stitching with some nice wood grain. I don't love how it's a glossy finish. You can get a darker matte finish if you'd like, depending on the interior color combination. You can see you have heated and ventilated seats. You have really nice high quality window controls. The windows in the front are auto up down. The windows in the rear, however, are not auto up, which my tester actually has a credit of $50 because they took away that feature. I'm guessing because of supply chain shortages. So kind of keep that in mind if you decide to buy a vehicle that was built during the COVID era. You can see down here leather stitching on the lower armrest. Down here it's soft touch injection molded plastic, and you get some storage. But overall, you can see this is probably one of the few vehicles I've seen with beige carpet, and you can see why. It gets really dirty very quickly. So if I got this interior color, I would definitely get a all-weather floor mat to help protect the beige carpet. But getting inside, you can see power deploying running boards. No grab handle here, surprisingly. So somebody like me, I have to grab the steering wheel to kind of hoist myself up. But as I get in and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. And then if I want, I can also just soft close the door, because the touring package in my tester also includes soft closed doors. Now to start the vehicle up, the engine start stop button is where you'd expect it to be. And then, just like when Cadillac first introduced this vehicle 2 years ago, the inside still very much impresses with this very large 38-inch curved OLED display. It's basically comprised of 3 different screens. You have a 14.9-inch screen in the instrument panel. You have a 7-inch display over here to the left where you can actually use that as a touchscreen. And then you have a 16.9-inch display here in the center stack that also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It does make for a beautiful looking setup, and I think it looks better versus what you get in the Navigator and the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I also love how there's leather stitching over this, and you have leather on the dashboard here. You have this interesting kind of black plastic material with this kind of texturized dots on it, along with the metal speaker covers that you get. My Tester also has a heads-up display that's included with the touring package, I believe. And then the steering wheel you can see is heated, which is nice. You have power, tilt, and telescoping arrangements. You have wood on the steering wheel, and you have paddles behind the wheel. The horn sounds good. It doesn't sound puny, which I expected this not to. It's a big luxury SUV. And then you can see here more of that wood grain trim. The infotainment system you can see also is pretty snappy and easy to use. It includes wireless Apple CarPlay, but I don't like how the CarPlay doesn't come out to the full screen. Cadillac has a fix for this in the new Lyric, where this kind of still stops here, but instead of this being black, they actually have it colored the same as the iPhone background that you see here, and that helps the screen not look so small, or it also doesn't look totally useless in that area. But again, you can fix that by going back to the Cadillac display. There's the GPS, which you can see takes up the entire display. And if you'd like, you can also come over here and change this looks, or the way this looks. You can also put your GPS here in the center, which is pretty cool. And then what's also really interesting is pushing the AR camera button here. This actually will bring up an augmented reality display where it uses the forward camera and it puts it right here in the instrument panel, which is kind of silly because you can just look above you and see the same thing. But again, if the windshield let's say, is covered in snow and ice, you could probably drive it like that, although you shouldn't. My Tester also has a night vision camera system for another $2,500. So again, all very cool to see in this vehicle. Great technology. It all works fairly well. When I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's the backup camera, which also offers a full 360 display. It also offers front and rear parking sensors. You can change the view. You can do an overhead view. You can do a side view to keep yourself from curbing the wheels. You can also change the view here and do a full 360 perimeter scan. So again, all very impressive stuff, and the graphics and resolution is about what I expect it to be, especially in a vehicle in this segment. Now over here above me, you can see there is a digital camera rearview mirror, which if you'd like, you can go back to just a standard rearview mirror, but I think this also improves the rear visibility. Over here on the center stack, you can see this controls the 10-speed auto, which you push this little trigger button to go into, or to select gear, push it forward to go to reverse, kick it back to go to drive, and then push the P button to go to park. Your volume knob is over here. If you don't want to use this as a touchscreen, you can also use this controller. There's a dedicated home button here. You have 2 USB charging ports, and you also have some storage here with your cup holders. You have a nice padded center console area over here, and then you can see your wireless phone charging pad is here. My iPhone 14 Pro Max fits very nicely in there. Open this up, you can see pretty deep center console storage area with 2 more USB charging ports, an SD card for the navigation, and you can see it's lined with felt in there, and this is a really nice comfortable armrest. The seats, like I said earlier, are very comfortable and supportive, and they're kind of covered in soft leather, which kind of leads me to believe you don't need to go for the semi-aniline leather. Opening up the glove box, you can see it's a bin style, it's damped, and it's lined with felt. And then above me, you can see here the panoramic glass roof lets in a lot of light, and you can also open this up if you'd prefer. You can see you can tilt or you can slide it. It only opens up over the 2 front seats, but it definitely helps to let in some fresh air and let in a lot of natural light. So overall, the cabin of the Escalade is still very impressive. It has all the tech that you expect to have. It has all the room. It has all the space that you'd want. And really, it makes me question whether you need to go for the platinum trim, although that is the only trim that you can get with the massaging seats. So let's go ahead and move into the second and the third row. You can see this model here comes standard with the captain's chairs. You can also option in a bench if you guys prefer to have up to 8 passenger seating. This one here, of course, is limited to 7. The door panel you can see has the same nice materials, leather stitching, wood, leather down here. This is also a hard touch plastic, so it was softer touch in the front seats, but you can see still metal speaker covers. Surprised to see there's no rear power shades or manual sunshades, so that's something that I wonder. I can't remember if the platinum trims have that, but overall you can see this second row has basically 41 inches of legroom back here, which makes it among the most spacious in the segments. And you can also use these levers here. You can move the seat forward and back to give the third row passenger more legroom. My Tester also has a rear seat entertainment option that includes these two 12.6-inch monitors that includes video game streaming, and you can also stream from different sources, which is definitely nice. You have your own set of rear climate controls here. You have 3-level heated rear seats, no cooled seats, but you can see the console here is still stitched in leather, which is nice. You have cup holders that pop out, and then you have a completely flat area here to get into the third row. Down here you can see there are HDMI hookups. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, and you can see open this up and you get an actual household power outlet, which is nice. The ambient lighting also in this interior is definitely a plus. It's an upgrade versus what Cadillac used to do in the prior generation. And then when you want to get into the third row, you can obviously get here via just going through the middle, but let me show you guys the way the seat folds, which is pretty nice. It has smacked me in the face a couple times, so I'm going to get out to show you guys that. You basically pull this, and you pull this twice. That moves the seat forward, and that allows you to hop into the third row. Now, because Cadillac went to an independent rear suspension for 2021, they were able to significantly increase the third row seat space. There's around 35 inches of legroom back here on the shorter wheelbase model. The longer wheelbase gives you an extra inch of legroom. But again, this is with the seat all the way back, and just check this out, guys. My knees aren't even up against the seat back. I have some good foot space back here. I could sit back here on longer trips, and in terms of headroom, you can see pretty good headroom for somebody like me. I'm 5'7". And then back here you can see there's still USB-C charging ports. There's leather down here, cup holders, a little bit more storage. And then you also can find rear seat air vents in the ceiling, which you find in the third row and in the second row, obviously. The seat back itself, the Navigator offers like a recline function, and the Grand Wagoneer does as well, but sadly the Escalade does not. Materials back here is fine, but overall this is still among the most spacious in the segment. But just keep in mind, heated third row seats and power reclining third row seats, that's available on some competitors, not on this particular model of the Escalade that I'm showing you. So here we are back driving the regular Cadillac Escalade. I've already had a chance to spend a full week with the flagship and crazy quick V version. And as much as I love the V, this car is about $50,000 less expensive. So it's realistically slightly more reachable for, average luxury buyers. And it's also a lot quieter and less, I guess, obnoxious versus the V, but hey, that's not a bad thing if you're an enthusiast. But this model here has the 6.2 liter V8, basically the V's engine minus the supercharger, although it's not quite the same engine, but similar block. And this one's a premium luxury. I haven't had a chance to 0 to 60 test a car like this in over a year, so let's go ahead and see what we can get for this car. Brake torquing, I remember, didn't work. It's in sport, 4-wheel drive's in automatic mode. It feels really quick off the line. Wow, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds there. That's actually a half a second quicker than what I got in this car about a year and a half ago when it was a Sport Platinum. Now the Sport Platinum has slightly more equipment than this vehicle, but the weights are pretty similar. Again, there's always variances between different vehicles, but 6 seconds is pretty quick. Now I will say that this is still about a second slower versus the best time that I got in the Grand Wagoneer L with its new twin turbo Hurricane inline 6. But this V8 is still very effective, and it's not slow. This has plenty of power, and as you guys saw as well compared to the V, this is about 2 seconds slower, a little over 2 seconds slower 0 to 60, but again, it's still plenty fast. Most people are going to find plenty to like about this car, but let's go ahead and try it one more time here. It's super quick off the line. This car doesn't like brake torquing, which is why I'm not doing it. Sounds really good. 6.29 there, so 6.3. This is with it more slightly uphill. So again, performance is on par with the Lincoln Navigator, its main competitor. That has a twin turbo V6. This has a nice small block 6.2 liter pushrod V8. For those of you who want a V8, this is the only vehicle left in the segment with a V8 since Jeep has removed the 6.4 from the Grand Wagoneer. You can still get that on the Shorty, which is a great engine. But the 6.2 is also a great option as well, and it has a very effective performance. But driving the regular Escalade around, this is where this new generation, when it first came out back in 2021, GM really stepped up their game. You've got that independent rear suspension, which is nice. You've got an all-new frame, an all-new platform. The steering in this car also is relatively precise, and it transmits decent amount of road feel through the steering wheel itself. I have the car in sport mode now. It's got a full-time four-wheel drive system where it's in automatic right now, but you can also put it in rear drive if you'd like. And it also has that adjustable air suspension. My tester has a touring package that includes adaptive dampers with the air suspension. And let me tell you, the ride quality in this car is good. It's actually a slightly better ride quality for me versus the Lincoln Navigator and the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The Grand Wagoneer is pretty similar, but I think GM just does a better job of the suspension tuning. The visibility in this car is also really good. The seats are comfortable and supportive. These are not the semi-aniline higher quality leather that you get in the Platinum trims, and it's also lacking the massage feature, but it's still a very nice, comfortable seat. I could imagine anyone would take this on longer road trips and just enjoy themselves. And just in normal acceleration, you can hear the V8 does get pretty loud. I'm gonna switch the drive mode actually here to just the touring setting. There's like 6 different drive modes and an individual setting as well. But here in this mode, this is where the suspension gets a little bit softer. The engine also gets a little bit quieter, and the car just feels like a flagship luxury car. That's kind of the whole point of the Escalade. It's always been the flagship SUV here at Cadillac, and because they don't have a flagship sedan right now, this is technically the flagship vehicle until their new electric version, their electric sedan comes out late next year, which will be a $300,000 Bentley fighter, basically, from Cadillac, the Celeste. Putting my foot down again, this is with it in touring mode. It still makes a nice V8 noise and it has plenty of power. That's about half throttle. So this thing is going to get out of its own way just fine. And for those of you, again, who are looking for even better efficiency, you can also get the diesel. This is the only option in the segment that offers a diesel, which I've driven that engine, not in the Escalade, but in the Suburban and a Yukon. And it's a wonderful powertrain that gets even better MPG versus this model, so kind of keep that in mind if you guys are looking for a vehicle like this. But overall, I'm still very impressed with the way the Escalade drives. In terms of efficiency, this is where the Escalade could use a little bit of help, at least if you guys go for the V8. In my week's worth of testing, I've been averaging around 15.3 mpg, which is not wonderful. The Grand Wagoneer with its twin turbo inline 6, I think I got about 1 mpg better, which again, it's not that much better. You're going to want to go for the diesel if you want even better efficiency. That can do easily over 20 miles to the gallon in mixed driving. On the highway, it can do mid-20s, which is insane for a vehicle this big. But one of the things that still impresses me for this car is the tech. I mean, look at that augmented reality display that you get in this 15-inch instrument panel, which you can change that. You can go to a regular gauge view if you think this is a little bit trippy. I will admit it's a tad strange. There's the regular gauge view. You can also put your map GPS in the display over here, and then this car also has an optional night vision camera, which for me seems more like a gimmick. Most people probably, I suspect, won't choose that option. I wish my tester had the $2,500 Super Cruise option, which it's lacking. Instead, we just have regular adaptive cruise control with automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, all that stuff, but no hands-free Super Cruise where you can drive this on the interstate with your hands off the wheel. And in terms of visibility, this car is pretty easy to see out of. I love the digital camera rearview mirror. I love the fact that this is a box, so you can see out of it very well. And it's very impressive how Cadillac, the Escalade, is still one of the tops in the segment. I mean, there are some tough competitors, but in my opinion, after spending some time driving the new Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer, the new refreshed Navigator, the Escalade to me is still my favorite, and it remains a favorite because Cadillac offers so many different engine options and so many different styles to kind of go with any particular taste and mostly any budget, as long as you have almost 6 figures that you have to spend. So with Cadillac moving nearly 41,000 Escalades here in America back in 2021, this literally outsold the Navigator by nearly 3-1. I think Lincoln did around 15,000 Navigators in that same time period. Only time will tell what Jeep will do with the Grand Wagoneer, although I think as of 2022, as of December or September of 2022, they've only managed to sell around 12,000 units. So I suspect the Escalade is going to retain its title as the best-selling vehicle. And after spending a week driving this 2023 model with basically no updates versus the 2021 that I drove, this is still a very appealing 3-row luxury SUV that also happens to be built off of a body-on-frame chassis. It still has one of the best ride and handling balances that you're going to find. It has one of the best interiors with still an amazing amount of interior space that sits it among the tops in the class. The interior tech in this car is also still very impressive. That 38-inch curved OLED display still attracts a lot of stares. Every time you get into this interior, it just creates a wow factor. And even though the exterior styling may not be everyone's cup of tea, especially for this new generation, styling is always subjective, and I personally think the Escalade still looks better versus the heavily refreshed Navigator and the new Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I just think the Escalade's lines look the best, but I personally would go for a sport trim level to get all the blacked out accents. But again, if you prefer the shinier chrome, this is also still a really nice option. The 6.2-liter V8, while it is a little bit thirstier than what I would like, it does deliver solid performance. And again, if you want more performance, there's the Escalade V for an extra $50,000. And if you want better efficiency, this is the only vehicle in the segment to get a diesel. So after spending the week with this model, I'm pretty happy to say that this is still my favorite 3-row truck-based luxury SUV, which is impressive considering the fact how good the Jeep Grand Wagoneer is with its Hurricane Inline 6 and the revised Navigator is. And it really gets me, again, excited to see what Cadillac has in store for the Escalade as time goes on. They're probably going to do a mid-cycle refresh soon. I'd say probably in 2024 or 2025. And then there's also still the full electric version that's coming. We don't know when, but it'll be built off of the Ultium platform, and it should be able to do impressive performance and impressive range, because I have spent some time with a vehicle like the GMC Hummer EV. So it'll only make the Escalade even better. Now, speaking of which, if you guys are looking to buy this vehicle, the Escalade starts at around $79,725. That's for the base luxury trim without 4-wheel drive, and you need to add $1,800 for destination. I know it's very expensive. If you guys want 4-wheel drive, you're gonna have to spend about $3,000 more. The premium luxury adds about $8,000 worth of options onto this vehicle. And then my tester here, with some of the options it has, such as the touring package, the performance package, the mahogany color paint, the AKG 36 speaker stereo, which is the most expensive, plus destination, my tester here came into just over $107,000. I know it is a lot of money, but it is also about $50,000 less expensive versus the V, and you get a car that is still not slow. It gets a little bit better gas mileage, and it has all of the luxury, the technology, and the practicality that you demand in a vehicle in this segment. So if you, with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2023 Cadillac Escalade in this premium luxury trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.